In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down my very simple 3-step framework to close any real estate investing deal, whether it be big, small, anything in between. Guys, if you do this and you implement this consistently, you will have the deals to show for it. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Matt Beard. I have a community called No Fluff Real Estate where I teach this stuff to thousands of investors every single month to help them do more deals, scale their businesses, and all the things in between. So let's get into it. Now, what I'm gonna be breaking down is this 3-step lead conversion process. In my opinion, this is the second step in building a wholesale business, or what I call a wholesale conveyor belt. The first step in that conveyor belt is lead generation, which I've covered in many other videos here in this channel. You could probably see a link somewhere on the screen at this point if you want to go watch how to generate a bunch of leads for basically free. But now, what do you do with those leads? How do you convert these into deals? Well, I break this down into 3 C's. It's calling, comping, and closing. Let's dig into the first step, which is the initial phone call. Now, the way that I approach speaking with agents or sellers or anyone, I have a very much a straight line, straightforward sales process. I just share and tell the truth. It sounds crazy, but I believe that if you lead with integrity when it comes to sales, and you just tell people the things that they may feel like, oh my gosh, why is he sharing this stuff? This might not look good. Well, the funny thing is when you share things that makes them feel that way, probably trust you when you have to have the tough conversations. So in my opinion, that first call, I'm trying to build rapport and I'm trying to discover if they have a problem that I can actually solve. And the only way I can do that is to be honest with somebody. There's a saying that goes that we all have 3 faces. One face we show to everybody in the public, right? It's the refined, I don't want you to know too much about me. It's the professional approach. Think of this as like the customer service voice when you call in and you talk to somebody for Chase Bank or something and they put on their best self to talk to you and solve your problem. That's probably not the way they talk to their family members and friends, right? That is the second face. The version, they only show people that know them well. And the third face is the face that only you know. All I am trying to do on this first call is get them to talk to me like a family member or a friend. Really just a friend. Like, I'm just seeing if we can figure out something to make this work and us work together and make some money together. That's it. So we actually have a framework for this. As you can see, I call this call understanding the lay of the land. So you'll see, depending on the approach, for the most part, we're not even gonna spend time on the creative approach in this video. We're only gonna talk about cash. So if you guys are unfamiliar, the way we generate leads is through realtors and they give us addresses, right? They say, hey, yeah, here's 123 Main Street. What can you guys offer? Well, on this first call, the very first thing I'm gonna do is see where they're at in the process. Okay, well, tell me where you guys are at. I see it's 123 Main Street. You guys are looking, I don't have an asking price here, but like, where are you guys currently at? Been fielding offers? They're looking to take it on market. Like, what's the situation? We specifically focus on the off-market properties, by the way. Once I get that information, I'm like, okay, well, overall, what do you think needs to be done to the property to get maximum value? I can see from the photos, if we have photos or not, you know, but like get their opinion. Now, when working with agents, the way you build rapport with these people is knowing what you're talking about. And sometimes the best way to show that is to ask them for their experience, their professional advice. What do you think it's worth? What do you think needs to be done to the property? Sometimes they're like, well, I don't know. You guys are the investors. You tell me, right? So if that's the case, I'll just skip on and move to the next one, which is where I say, okay, well, from your professional opinion, if this place looked beautiful, like 2025 renovated condition or whatever year when you're watching this video, what do you think it would sell for on the top end? Okay. So now I've figured out where they're at in the process, or at least got a decent idea. I now know or have a rough idea what may need to be done to the property. Look, it always needs more money than maybe what they put on, right? And now I'm asking them, you know, their professional opinion on value. And normally that's off too. Maybe it's a little high, maybe it's a little low. But I just want to come to the table, say, look, you don't know me from Adam. I'm not trying to tell you like it is. I want you to know that I value your opinion. When you do it that way, you tend to get people to like you a little bit more. The fourth step in this process is I like to explain to our agent partners how we make money and how we run our numbers. You have to explain that what you're looking to do, whether it be you buying the house or you have a partner that would be buying the house and you get paid for bringing the deal to the table. You want to explain to them how you run your numbers. So this is where I explain to agents that, hey, I'm looking to make 15% profit on my flips if I take on the project. It's not personal. If I can't do the deal, I'll let you know, but I'll let you know why. It's never me versus you. It's always us versus the numbers, right? Very straightforward. Next step, I'll see if there's any offers on the table they're considering. Normally by the time we get to the table, we're never the only person, whether it be direct to seller or working with an agent. Typically have already gotten offers from other people, right? So I like to say, well, where do we need to be to make something happen? I'm sure you guys have already have offers. The last thing I want to do is get into a bidding war. And when I say it like that, most people are like, oh, no. We'll never do a bidding war. Okay, BS. Most of the time, that's not true. But I like to mention it here because, again, I'm just having a straightforward conversation, but in a nice way. right? So I'm trying to build rapport with this person by letting them know I'm not trying to waste your time. Let's see if we can figure something out. I'm not like everybody else. The last bit is we're going to anchor, let them know, like once I get an asking price out of them, I'll let them know like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay that number. In fact, a deal that I'm going to break down here in a subsequent video came from Dan in our monthly Underdog challenge that we do in our No Fluff group, which by the way, guys, if you're not in our community, I have all these trainings, a ton of masterclasses, free resources, a free resource guide, so much stuff that you could ever need in that school community. The link is going to be down in the description somewhere. If you just want to type it in school.com/No Fluff Real Estate, you'll find it there. But the link's in the description. You should definitely go check it out. But basically what we did was I let the guy know like, hey, look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay $200,000 on this one. In fact, I think I'm going to be probably competitive with where your other offers are at. If I can't pay $200,000, is it still worth having the conversation? Right? I'm anchoring, letting them know I'm probably not going to be able to pay that price, and I want to check for flexibility. Okay. So when I call them back again on the third step, which is the close, well, they already know I'm probably not going to pay the price that they were initially looking for. I already told them I probably wouldn't. And then after that, I thank them for the call and I let them know I'm going to go do my homework. I'm not saying my financing department. I'm not saying I'm going to go talk to somebody else and say, look, I'm going to do some homework on this and let's see what we can come up with. I want to hold a frame. So much in sales comes down to holding a specific frame to the prospect on the other side. Who do they think you are, right? If they think you're just taking orders from somebody else, they're going to want to talk to the head person in charge. They're going to want to talk to your financing department. They're going to want to talk to your underwriter. You want to let them know that you are the person that is going to be saying, yes, we can do this deal, or yes, not. Like you are talking to the right person. It's important to hold that frame. Step number 2 in the process is comping. This is where we evaluate the deal. Look, I won't even go here if I haven't had this initial call and feel confident that this is the right person. I'm looking for an off-market property that needs work and they're negotiable on price. If it is an on-market house, it's really nice and they're stuck on their price, it's not going to be a deal for me. I'm not even going to try to evaluate it. That's not the best way to make money. You're going to spend a lot of time chasing rabbits and not making any money. So I'm only going to comp properties that kind of pass that initial criteria. Now, if a lead makes it here, I will then evaluate the deal based on our deal calculator. So as you can see here, which by the way, guys, if you want a copy of this calculator, send the school community, just go over there and grab it. Now, as you can see, the things that I care about the most, you can see that we have like a rough idea of what rehab would cost depending on the square footage. And look, every market may be a little bit different. If you're running your numbers in Hawaii, you should probably ask someone local what it's going to cost to do flooring and doing a brand new bathroom. It changes. But this is a rough idea for most major markets across the United States, at least the continental United States. Okay. So if I have an ARV of, let's just call it 300,000. If you guys are first just like getting acclimated to real estate investing, ARV means after repair value. I'm first trying to figure out what is the high watermark for my property. Okay. What would it be worth if I did all that work? 300,000. And look, I'm not taking my realtor, not taking the number they gave me as facts. Normally it's pretty close. It's at least within range, but I'm going to do my own homework, pull my comps and get my ARV. After that, I'm going to bank on my end flipper. The person's going to be buying the deal from me if I'm wholesaling it, or if I'm going to flip it myself, I'm going to bank on at least a 12 to 15% profit margin. So I know if someone's taking on about a $300,000 flip in most markets, they would like to see about a 15% profit margin at the time of recording this video, because it has been a heavy buyer's market. Now, when the market starts picking up and it's a seller's market again and deals are flying, you'll see that number go down to like 10%. Okay. But as it is right now, that's what we're budgeting. I budget a $15,000 wholesale fee, 15 to 20 grand, knowing that that number can be a little bit flexible. And then the last piece of this calculator is my rehab cost. So if I'm going to spend $35,000 on rehab, that is the last real piece to pump out where we need to be on our offer. So sometimes you guys are like, hey, I got a house that's worth $300,000. They said they'll take $220,000. Is that a deal? Not even close. You'll see that we still need that property another $45,000 cheaper to budget for our end flipper getting a hard money loan, the flipper, the rehab cost, the realtor commissions they got to pay, utilities, all the things go into this. So if you're new and you need help running your numbers, this calculator could be a massive help for you. Grab it in the community. But this is the second step. I want to comp and really get to the nitty gritty of where I think I need to be to sell the deal, which, quick hack, guys, if you are getting into wholesaling and you're starting to build out and you're going to get leads, especially if you use the no fluff method and you use our model, you're going to get leads pretty quickly. Leads are not going to be the problem. But a really important thing that I would say as you go to scale your business, you want to make sure you're building your buyers list as well while you're getting leads. Because once you really understand what the buyers are looking for, some people call this bird dogging. It's been around forever. It's been called reverse wholesaling. There's many names for it. But the reality is, if you know exactly what that end buyer wants, it makes it a lot easier to know what to focus on when you're getting leads coming through the door. You can just sort out like, no, no, no. Oh, this one may be something. No, no, no. So starting with the buyers is always helpful too. So long story, this is how we comp our properties. Let's move on to phase 3. Okay, step 3 is the close. This is where we solve the problem, not the price. It's never the price. And I see this time and time again. A wholesaler will throw out an offer and it will get rejected, and it's going to be used as negotiation material for future offers down the road. I know because I've done deals with people who are like, yeah, I got offered 80 and 85. And I'm looking at it being like, ooh, I might be able to pay a little bit more than that. If I pay more, will they accept my offer, right? Price is never going to close somebody saying, hey, I can pay X amount of money, because guess what? Normally, number one, you're never the highest bidder. And number two, I've never found somebody who's going to say, oh, you're offering me $50,000 less than what I want. Where can I sign? Right? It comes down to the problem that you're solving. So for the example that I'm going to give you guys in a subsequent video for Mr. Dan, they had a tenant that was not leaving. They got to go through the eviction process. The property needs a bunch of work, and the agent's not used to dealing with listings that need a bunch of work. They just got the title and it just went through probate. Like these hairy situations. I tell this to the business owners I work with all the time. Like, we are the garbage men. We want to deal with the nasty stuff, the ugly houses, the ugly situations, the hairy stuff. Like, bring me those. We want to be that resource for our agent partners, or if you're going direct to seller, you want to be that resource to a seller. But ultimately, you will never get somebody to sign on the dotted line unless you solve a problem. So really, the sale happens on the first step when you build rapport. Does this agent know, like, and trust that you can help their client solve the problem and make them look good? It's not about you looking good. It's making them looking good. And can you come to the table and say, hey, it's me, you, Mr. Agent, Mrs. Agent, and your client together, seeing how we can make this deal work for everybody involved. I've never done a deal where somebody felt like they, I got one over on them. And likewise, I've never done a deal where I felt like, dang, I really missed out on that. It's got to be a middle ground somewhere. And that's what negotiations is all about. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Sandler submarine, I definitely recommend going in and Googling the Sandler submarine. I think it's really helpful framework of obviously setting the right table, setting the right expectations when you're talking to a prospect, and then going through like, hey, this is the reason why we need to be where we need to be. But think about it like this, right? And I use the Alex Ramosi framework a lot, where it's like, I'm clarifying the problem. So when I call this agent back for the close, I'm saying, all right, well, based on what you're telling me, they had a tenant in place, it's not leaving, that's going through the eviction process. And I think that is leading to, it's going to be kind of hard to put this on market. And that may lead them to maybe want to try to sell it off market, right? And I'll label that pain. And they'll say, yeah, exactly. They want to try to sell this thing off market because of that. Say, got it. And they've already gotten other offers from other people. I'll overview what they've already done up to this point. Already got offers from other people, 155, 175. They said no to those things, right? Well, check this out. If we're able to do this, we can probably file the eviction notice during the escrow period, okay? And we can handle that. That's not uncommon. We can at least get this under contract. So once we handle the tenants, we'll be ready to close 2 weeks after. We just got to come to an agreement on price, but we can solve all these problems and we can get this thing done pretty quick. I am selling the vacay, right? I'm saying this is what it will look like if we did that. And then the last letter of the close framework is explain away their concerns. So in the example that I'm using here, they had, well, we won't, they're pretty stuck on their price. Got it. Well, this is what we can do to make that happen. I'm not going to spoil that video for you guys, but I'm explaining away their concerns. They're going to ask a bunch of questions here. All of those questions are like buying questions in like the consumer world. Like all those questions are like, hey, we want to work with you, but tell me all the ways that this could go wrong. And if you can explain away their concerns, you're going to be able to get that deal. And the last letter of, closer framework is you reinforce their decision. The last thing you want to do is when somebody signs a contract with you and your company, to just leave them hanging. To be like, okay, and then go days without communicating. You need to let them know immediately after they sign the contract that they made a good decision, which normally comes down to setting the table for what happens next. So this is phase 2 of your wholesaling business. Think about it like a conveyor belt. Phase 1, lead generation. Phase 2, lead conversion. Phase 3 is disposition. So when I close somebody here and I get a contract, I'm letting them know the next steps. Hey, we're going to need to get in the house. I have such and such on my team, going to be reaching out and going to be coordinating that. If it's just you, you say, hey, well, let's go ahead and get title open. Maybe I'll try to call you here in a day or two so we can schedule getting into the property and doing our inspections, yada, yada, yada. You set the table for what happens next and you reinforce that they made the right decision by working with you. So guys, that is how you can convert the smallest deals, the biggest deals, the most important ones, which are consistent deals. And that's how you can actually make your real estate business an actual business that makes money every single month. You got to generate leads. So don't even worry about this phase if you're not getting leads consistently. But assuming that you are, this is how you turn those leads into more deals without having to feel like you need to generate a ton of leads to get just a few deals. So hopefully this video was helpful. Again, the 3 phase of this framework is call, comp, and close. Now go do more deals. I'll see you in the school community. Bye.